All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's Office 365 or Microsoft 365 Pulse. We have the whole crew here again this week. So that's 2 weeks in a row. Very, very exciting. So we're going to go through the list of updates, not as long as it was last week. So this will probably be a quick episode. I'm going to start for one, Outlook for iOS, Book of Physical Workspace. This is in development, which means they're behind the scenes working on it. It means they're developing the features. We don't know much about it yet. Once it's in development, then they'll move it to rolling out when they start to put it on tenants. So this is where you're able to use your calendar in Outlook to reserve a physical workspace at your office, similar to using a conference room. Now, this is really, one of those working post-COVID things that's coming. So Outlook for iOS, they're trying to make it like that. So if we're going to be coming into the office, we can book one of the workspaces. And then if, they're all booked up or they're full, we won't be able to go. So that's one of the things that's in development that I thought was pretty cool. So I'll pass it to Tamara and she can let us know something she thought was cool from in development. And I guess that's also from Android as well as working on that. So we can loop those two together.
Cool. So Microsoft Teams now has a shift schedule assistance. And what this does is it alerts a manager if a conflict occurs anywhere within the schedule, and they'll receive a conflict warning when approving the schedule change requests. So it's great, especially if you have a bunch of people on these shifts. It's really going to make it a lot easier to make sure that you're not double booking.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Now, one of these weeks, I'm going to bone up on one of the really geeky things that I'm sure Adam would cover, and I'm going to jump on it before he can. This is not going to be one of those weeks, though. So the one that I saw that was high up on the list that caught my attention, and we've talked about this before, where suggested replies in Outlook on the web, if you're typing something using AI and knowing how you type things, it'll attempt to fill in phrases for you so you can just hit a tab and get 3 or 4 words. Well, that suggested reply functionality is now coming to Microsoft Teams. So much like when you're typing emails in Outlook on the web, you can be typing, I'm assuming, chat or channel messages in there, and it's going to give you that same look ahead to say, hey, if you click tab here, you might be able to get 2 or 3 words coming in without you having to type ahead a lot, and that would be really good, especially if you're working with Teams on an iOS device or an Android device and you have fat thumbs and you never get the words right. You can just hit tab and spell it correctly every time. So I'm looking forward to that finally making its way into launched and rolling out, but right now it's in development.
That one came from Tom's heart with our sausage fingers. So I will say, Jen, with the update you gave, that made me think of Rackspace in my head. Both Jen and I used to work at Rackspace. They had tons of open workspaces. Something like that would be really cool if you actually committed and set it up. There's 2 kind of nerdy ones I wanted to mention from our side. AIP unified labeling clients coming to GCC and GCC High. Without getting into it too much, if you want to add protection labels or labels as a whole to your documentation, you do that through a downloadable plugin for the Office suite that just has never been available for the GCC or GCC High tenants. And that is a giant pain in the butt if you're trying to go through and get compliant with stuff like NIST or with anything that they're wanting you to protect sensitive or CUI data, and you're having to be like, okay, cool, well, I'm going to need you to sign on to the online browser with a whole bunch of reduced functionality. So the fact that that's coming out is cool. That's applicable to seriously 9 of my customers. So really excited about that, and I think that that's cool coming through. And then the other one, I thought this was a really cool idea. This is actually a first I heard of it when Jen sent the updates out to us this week. The idea of endpoint protection for Microsoft 365 with DLP. You guys are probably familiar with what DLP does. You can put it on and say, okay, go through and look for PII data, go through and look for internal information, whatever it is. Endpoint protection is just taking that concept and applying it to Windows 10 machines that are managed in EMS. So if you're an organization that are managing all of your company's computers through Windows 10 and the Enterprise and Mobility Suite, you're basically going to be able to get information and insights into what your users are doing on top of DLP on their actual machines, which again, the world that I live in now is compliance and security and everything like that. This is actually a huge one, really, really, really cool. I'm really excited to see where this goes, because I think for organizations that are security focused and specifically from the compliance needs, being able to get insight into what your users are doing day in and day out on the computer, that doesn't exist today. It's a really, really cool thing.
Cool. Well, I'm going to take the last ones for in development, and then I'm going to pass it first to Tom for rolling out, so he can not have it stolen there. But the last one, I'm kind of jumping them all together, and those are our Yammer updates. So there's going to be Yammer updates around live events. They're going to make it more streamlined in the desktop version so that you can have a better experience. They're going to let you do calendar invites. Then they're going to let you do all sorts of stuff in the Q&A. They're going to let moderators go in and let you have Q&A, and then they're also going to let you not have Q&A by letting the moderators turn off the Q&A. And then finally, they're going to let you post on behalf of another user. Let's be honest, if we're doing a big town hall or something like that, you're going to have the CEO, you're going to have someone up there speaking, and then you're going to have a moderator maybe speaking on behalf of or something like that in the Q&A wanting to give out those official messages. You might have, you know, maybe if it's a town hall around benefits, you might want to have someone that's a representative of HR posting on behalf of HR. So there might be more than one person posting, but posting on behalf of. So you can do different things like that. So those are features that are in development for Yammer. We'll see where that lands. So passing on to now rolling out, that means this is hitting at least 10% of tenants and maybe more soon. So go ahead, Tom, tell us, what is your favorite?
I love you, Jen. It was so nice of letting me have this. Of course, the big news, because this has been hot on Microsoft's topic list for like, what, the last 4 months, I think, 5 months, and that is Microsoft Lists. They're rolling out the homepage, so you're going to have a Microsoft Lists homepage, which is a central gathering area, or basically a portal, for lack of a better term, of all the lists across 365. So that could be, you know, ones that you've made directly in Microsoft Lists, perhaps lists that you built for Teams, things like that. You're going to be able to find them all on this homepage, which is going to be really nice once you start to get the concept of lists and the fact you can create these things and not necessarily have to have it out in a SharePoint site. This is going to be kind of cool. In addition to that, they're also rolling out the ready-made templates, which is really nice because that'll give people a leg up on being able to create these easily or have a starting point, much like you do with Power Automate, you know, in your templates you can run. So there's going to be 8 templates at initial launch, and those are issue tracker, new hire checklist, event itinerary, business trip approvals, team evaluations, asset tracker, project planning, and social media calendar. So those may not fit anything directly from what you're doing, but I would suggest you possibly try 2 or 3 of them, see what they look like when they come out. You'll probably see some features going, ooh, I like how they formatted that in the view of the list item. You can kind of dissect it and learn from there, much like you can learn from the templates in Power Automate. So that's probably one of the big things that they've been talking about for the last 4 months. And now you should see it start to hit your tenants. And so definitely play with it, because I think it's going to make a mind shift difference for people. Yeah, in terms of the only thing that I still haven't had a lot of time to look at, unfortunately, but when you create a Microsoft list, much like when you have something in OneDrive, that OneDrive belongs to you. And if you leave the company, by and large, your OneDrive is going to go away too. I'm scared that we're going to have people start creating Microsoft lists that are their own personal lists. Mm-hmm. They build company or department processes based on that. They leave the company, and all of a sudden that list goes poof. I need some answers to that to figure out whether or not or how I'm going to position this within the company, because I don't want people shooting themselves.
Well, let's look back at how Teams has rolled out and how almost everything else major has come out, that the governance around it and the admin features have rolled out and trickled out slowly after initial launch. So right. My guess would be that that's probably not a fully baked story right now, but that's what user voice is for. And right. Before it gets to GA, the story is probably going to be fully baked. But right. Now you can get in and start playing with it, keep a list of your questions, and go push them on user voice. Right. Because I'm sure it's not fully baked right now, but that's okay. Now we get to give our opinions on how we want it to work. So
yep.
Tamara, I'm going to pass it to you for the next one. Even though I know Tom has 2 or 3, I'm going to just make them go one at a time so everyone can get one.
Me do.
Crowd
Me
control.
do.
Crowd control. All right. So one thing that I'm really excited about, and you guys might think I'm kind of lame, but is Outlook for Windows. Your signature settings are going to be stored in the cloud now, so that your signature will be consistent across using Outlook in Windows or on any computer or
Finally.
cloud. It'll have a consistent signature across the whole thing as opposed to having to manage that signature in each one. I'm really excited about that. And also, kind of along the same lines as Outlook for Android, the Play My Emails. I just bought a new car and it has this thing where it actually connects to your phone so that you do the phone through the car, which I know is not new for anybody else, but my car was a 2015 or a 2005 car. So this reminds me of that it's going to play your emails for you so you can do it hands-free. You can get your emails hands-free. So I'm a little excited about that too.
It really freaked her out last night when she's coming back from the store and she called me to tell me that she couldn't get one of the items. And instead of being on the phone, it's like reverberating throughout the car. And she goes, "Oh my God, what's happening?" I'm like, "Hands free, it's cool, isn't it?" And she goes, "It kind of freaked me out here."
That's awesome. Well, I'll go with one. I'm not sure which one Tom likes better, so I'm gonna try to pick and not take his, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna go with Microsoft Planner, Task for Information Worker and Teams. So this is going to give you basically a new unified view of your personal and team tasks, so powered by Planner and To-Do. So it's going to consolidate Microsoft To-Do, Planner, and Outlook, assigning them all if they're bringing to you across your desktop and mobile, and give you a single view of it. So this is a fantastic new feature. So excited to see this starting to roll out. I saw Jeff Teeper was tweeting, or not tweeting, it was on LinkedIn. I might have saw it. It was probably on Twitter too, where he saw some screenshots of it. So I'm excited to see when that one comes in our tenant. I don't think it's in our tenant as of yet, but I'm very excited to see that one. So I'm going to pass it to Adam first, and then I'll pass it back to Tom to wrap us up.
Thank you, Adam. If you touch it, you die.
You can go ahead and go, Tom. Both mine are nerdy, so you can go ahead and go. I don't mind bringing up the rear.
Okay.
Oh, I was trying to make Tom suffer.
So this next item is a thing that whenever I read it, I hear the intro to the Muppet Show. You know, because if you remember in the intro to the Muppet Show, they would have like a line of the Muppets, and then they would have another line and another line. And pretty soon when they got done, they had like 49 Muppets on the screen. Well, guess what? In Teams, you can now have up to 49 Muppets on the screen because they are going with a 7x7 rollout.
See,
So
I'm probably showing my age, but I hear the music from High School Musical where they're all singing that they're all in this together, and they're, you know, wildcats, and they're dancing around, and they're all in this together because we're together mode.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Yes, you are showing your age. I, on the other hand, being nearly 60, yeah, I'm definitely Muppet Show material here, okay? I'm up in the corner going, animal. But yeah, the fact is, Tamara's going, God, and I live with this man.
Yeah.
So anyway, they are enhancing what's been called the Brady Bunch view for the Hollywood Square view from 3x3. They're going up to 7x7. So again, that may be too much visual clutter for you. And there are some things they're doing, which Jen kind of referenced, the together mode, which does an AI simulation of all these people being in one location, or, you know, focus mode, which kind of takes that away so you're not seeing all those different pictures. But again, if you like the Zoom approach to seeing a bunch of different little videos of people and kind of their context of what they're doing, you're now going to be able to see that in the large gallery view in Teams, rolling out soon to a client near you.
The two from my side that I thought were kind of cool that I'll just throw out. We've mentioned this one before, so I'm just going to point it out because it's actually there. Advanced e-discovery is finally rolling out for GCC Cloud. So I know Tamara and Jen and I are all very happy about that. We have customers that have been asking for it. So the fact that it is actually rolling out is cool to see. And then the other one was something that I thought was kind of a cool concept that I know we've mentioned but haven't necessarily gone into too deep of details. It's the idea of preset security settings. This basically comes into Exchange Online Protection. Rather than making you go in and micromanage like the 30 different settings that all go into them going in and doing anti-spam and deciding what you can do, you can just say, do you want to be strict or normal? And if you choose strict, they will go through and edit all the settings for you to make a generic strict policy. So basically, if you're not an Exchange admin or you're not someone who wants to know if you can allow XML attachments or HTTP or something like that, right? Doesn't want to go into all the details. You can just generically say, okay, I want to be a little bit more stricter in how we're handling things, and they'll take care of the presets for you, which is kind of nice.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, cool. Does that anything else in rolling out? There was one other one I saw about Yammer, which was if a moderator will have the ability to turn a post into a question if the person didn't originally post it as a question. So that helps you kind of clean things up as you go, which is, you know, kind of the job of the moderator. So I think that's all I have in moderate or in rolling out. If nobody has anything else, I will pass it to Tamara and she can tell us about something cool in Launched.
All right, so SharePoint enabled modern communication site experience on classic sites. So you do have to do it with PowerShells, but with PowerShells. So apparently there's multiple. No, just one. Admins can now enable the modern communication site experience on any classic team site, including the root site. This is great for people who have migrated a bunch from SharePoint 2010 into the modern experience and were stuck with those classic sites but really wanted the communication experience. They can now have that.
Yeah, that's something I think we're going to be taking advantage of here once we finish dealing with Power Automate upgrades. Yeah, I think that's going to come into play. I'm excited to see that one.
Very cool. Well, Tom, what do you see in Launch that's exciting for you?
Yeah, so nothing that's completely, earth-shattering, knock my socks off, or that we haven't talked about in the past. The two that I saw that I'll just mention in passing, company branding is now supported on the SharePoint mobile app. So if you've got SharePoint branding for your company on the regular, desktop browser, whatever, you can now do something very similar in the SharePoint mobile app. So you have some consistency there in terms of having something that looks like your company instead of a nice company branded internet. And then you get to iOS and it's just generic SharePoint. And then the other thing that you should note, and it should be out there now, the new experience for launching instant channel meetings. So there's now there's a new home, I should say, for the Meet Now buttons in a team channel. It's usually up in the channel header now, and I think it's over on the right-hand side if I remember correctly. But if you want to have a call or a meeting with everybody who happens to be in that channel, you just click that and boom, it spins up the meeting, calls everybody, and you're off and ready to go instead of you having to go out, set up a meeting, schedule it, send it out, start it, look for the people, wait for them, say, hey, are you going to join us? It just all happens automatically. So keep that in mind. It may not work for everything that you're doing, but for the ones where you just want to call a quick instant meeting, that's going to be really nice to have.
Yeah, really be aware though that it is calling everybody in that channel all at once.
Don't do it for a person that's, channel or a team that's got like 100 people in it because you won't be popular.
One that I see, Microsoft Planner, copy a link or task or your plan in a planner for iOS or Android, so you can easily share. I think that is a good one there. Yammer, some live event carousel in the home feed in Yammer. So Yammer is getting lots of love, the new Yammer this year. And then there's a bunch of like uber technical team stuff that I'm sure Adam might be the ones that he's going to hit on. So I'll kind of let Adam go and or Tamara, if you guys have any to wrap us out from Launch, but I'll let Adam go. It's not very exciting in the Launch category this week.
I'm good.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff going on from the technology side. Location-based routing is finally coming to Teams, which basically comes down to based on if you're doing VoIP endpoints or PSTN or PBX, stuff like that, you can choose how to route calls based on where the call is coming from. So it's cool ways for some of the companies that have multiple integrated systems coming in, but for the vast majority of people, it's not going to necessarily matter. But cool things happening on the tech side that you can at least be aware of. There was another kind of cool thing for my side that I actually used with a client last week, not realizing that like it had just been launched. But it's basically going through the idea that Intune now has certificate delivery for SMIME. So SMIME is something that you encounter a lot in the GCC High or in the government space. SMIME signing for encryption of emails is peer-to-peer email encryption. So not when you're saying, I want to just encrypt this email to whoever it's going out, but it's like, all right, Jen and I have secret passcodes that we've given each other, so we can now hand off emails with our secret passcodes. But they're basically bringing that sort of encryption to Intune, which is kind of nice for Androids. It was already there for iOS. So.
You say SMIME, and I want to do like the invisible box routine.
Awesome. Well, then, wrapping us up for canceled this week, we have 2 that are canceled. One that doesn't matter, OneDrive sync reports, because it's a duplicate, so they're just moving that to another item, no problem. And then the other one was canceled, and that was the ability for Stream to interact with Microsoft Forms and quizzes directly from your mobile device. I'm guessing that maybe that doesn't, operate as efficiently as it needed to, so they're probably going back to the drawing board with that one. So haven't given us a lot of details other than that one was canceled. So that's on the mobile device for Stream and Microsoft Forms. I'm not sure that too many people were like waiting on the edge of their seats for that one. But those are the 2 updates and canceled there. So we will be back next week with another dose of your Microsoft 365 Pulse, and we'll see you guys then. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, all.
Thank you. Bye.